There's so much in trucking that's difficult these days, but we dive in headfirst tonight into some issues that we all need to know about. First of all, will insurance go up again? It's been going up a lot here lately. There ain't a whole lot we can do about it, but there's something you need to know about the future of the insurance market for trucking. We're going to cover it tonight. And furthermore, will there even be an easy way in? By that I mean a way for those with little or no credit. Did you know that lease programs were under fire here lately? They're getting a lot of criticism. Will they survive or will they get help from others? We're talking about some other things that came as a surprise to me the other night. We're going to cover my thoughts on that. These important things are up for discussion on this show, what I like to call Frontlines. A show I feel it's fitting for an old-fashioned trucker. Broadcasting from inside the Truckin City mobile studios. Having more fun than any serious news show is allowed to have on YouTube. BossMan here is single-handedly pointing out to you that there's always a way to make trucking great again. Doing so, as I said, single-handedly, as both a full-time trucker and a full-time YouTuber. Doing so with a skill granted by God himself to restore your faith in broadcast talent. Unlike some out there in YouTube, I had to think carefully about tonight's broadcast. And I decided that I owe the industry something other than just the facts. So, I intend tonight to opine on a profound loss to our industry. It suffered recently a huge loss, and I have some thoughts. So stick around to see what those thoughts are. It's come to be that those in power think that some truckers may cut back on maintenance costs and do other things to be able to afford something equally as important in the industry. Do you know somebody that would do that? Well, I'll tell you what, the way things are going, and according to an article in Landline magazine, the powers that be think we will. Find out what that may be, and what you guys may want to cut back on to help afford what's coming your way. You know, I saw a short time ago that there was a little excerpt in Overdrive magazine caught my attention. Turns out that Mac has now provided a customized Mac Anthem 70-inch stand-up sleeper to the RCR racing team for NASCAR. So my question to you, John, is how does it feel being a Mac owner to know that you're part of history? No audio, my friend, no audio. Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Is there a lot of feedback right now?
No feedback, just low volume.
All right. Well, my headset disconnector went to my truck. I'll say this real quick and then I'll fix that.
That's fine.
So, you know, we've all watched Cars, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the lead car was obviously McQueen, but who hauled McQueen around?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Mac.
There you go. Mac baby.
Tell you what, there's a special thing in there in my next video coming out about Mac trucks. If you're not subscribed, go check out my channel. But Mac trucks are the bomb, and I don't know about a stand-up sleeper. Does that mean I gotta sleep standing up? I'm confused.
Well, if it's 70-inch, I don't think you'll have to do that. You did, by the way, coin the phrase in your last video, Mac Daddy. So got that going on for you.
I didn't coin that phrase. That is the name of my old Mac.
Well, coined it, named it, whatever. Same thing. I'm giving you credit. Hush up and take it, old man. We're moving on right now. Also, in the next Frontline debate section on tonight's show, certain owner-operators have had up to now an easy in to becoming a business owner. And according to some recent articles in Overdrive, which I'm going to cover, that easy in may be on the way out. It's said that working with certain motor carriers is just really a setup for failure. I want to ask you in the audience, you tell me, is it, or is it just another way to get into the trucking industry? You tell me in the comments. Let's get to the show. You got to stick around and hear my opinions. All this stuff in this show, the mainstream media won't even bother telling you about. But we are right here on the front lines.
Shall we begin?
YouTube's most unique news show has begun. The fastest growing YouTube channel, Truckin City News.
And I am gonna beat him.
President telling Justin Trudeau to get tough.
There was no information online.
And the El-Rushbo of Truckin News, BossMan. Eight 860-785-3547 is our line. Call our studio, be part of the show today. And also email us at thatstruckinnews@outlook.com. Greetings, truck lovers, truth seekers, and visionaries all across the heartland. We are back behind the golden TIB, Truth in Broadcasting microphone. Welcome to the best call-in show for truckers, run by truckers. This is your connection to getting the best opinion-made programming designed specially for the trucking industry. And front and center we have with us today, as you've already seen, Driving with John. We've also got other great personalities here. We have Larry the Trucker on board. We have Poet from the great land of Alberta up north. We have others out in the audience who may or may not drop in, but there's one specifically that is missing this evening, and he's the grumpy old trucker. He is not on the show tonight because he is checking out his health and making sure that he can make future shows. So he's not feeling well. Let's all say a good prayer for him. Let's hope he's feeling better and getting better quickly, because without him, this ain't the same show. I'll tell you that. But honestly, I want to take a moment and I want to give you some thoughts on what I called at the start of this show a very profound loss to our industry. When one thinks of old school, what image does one classify as appropriate? One might consider the rough and tumble stories from someone who's probably done more miles backwards than most have done going forwards. This was a story that I recall him comically recanting on a video that I watched quite a few years ago. I was watching videos on smart trucking, and I was looking into, at the time, what company to start driving for. Being that I was tired of driving for the one I was, I did a little bit of research and looked around, and he basically gave me some pointers on a few videos. And little did I realize at the time, I was watching a legend in the works. I don't say this lightly. I didn't know what I was watching back then. And I didn't know what I was looking at. A short time later, I want to say probably 5 or 6 years later, I was doing yet again more research. Only this time it wasn't for the same reason. I was doing research with a plan in mind to start a YouTube channel. You guys may know of it. It's called Today That's Truckin', but it originally started out as Deviator on the Road. And in doing the research to come up with a premise behind the show, I stumbled on a video that was titled Ways to Make Truckin Great Again. I got a very comical outlook to a way of looking at trucking. I really didn't see it coming. But when I saw it, it stuck.
I really like Donald Trump's idea. What could he do to make trucking great again? Create enough safe parking for everybody. Put up more good truck stops. Get rid of a whole bunch of stupid regulations and rules that we suffer under. Fewer cars, but with better drivers. Train our new drivers better. No more free waiting time anywhere. And more rights for drivers, such as unlimited personal miles. Finally, more respect for professional drivers and free paper bags for the guys that have to drive Volvos.
And consummate sense of humor that he had. After watching this video, I was hooked. Dave, in that video, sold me on the idea that what I had to say was important. And privately, I felt the way he did. But he was the only one with the courage to say it. I saw that as a beacon of inspiration. Not only for my trucking career, but also for my YouTube career. So for that man, I am forever thankful. I would later adopt the idea that he conveyed in that video. And today, I am Truckin City Media because of him. In fact, all three platforms has that very same saying, not because of Donald Trump, but because of Dave. I'm sure I share in this vision of what Dave was in this way, but there are way too many ways in which they share in how he inspired them that are just way too great to list here. You know, it came as a surprise the other night when closing my last show, Trucking Debate, a panelist came up and said that a man seemingly so passionate and so young with so much was taken from us. When he initially mentioned the name, it didn't ring. But when he said it was Dave with Smart Truckin', my heart sank. His passing leaves behind a legacy of a man's passionate vision of a world where truck drivers were respected and thought of as people with dreams and not just numbers. A feeling like those that succeed us are more than those that precede us. He embodied the notion of mentor. Sorry, guys. And carried the torch of respect for all of us to realize that self-respect gets respect from others. Knowledge is power. And Dave had stories that back this up better than any ice road trucker compilation. Now, I can't say much about the man on a personal level. I felt like I knew him while he was on screen, but never personally met him. But the one thing I can say, his presence will be sorely missed. And I only thank God that his likeness and his great stories will live on through Smart Trucking and the dedication of his family that loved him. My heart goes out to everyone there at Smart Trucking, Dave's family, and everyone that has ever been close to him. May God be may God be with each and every one of you. I lost my father a short time ago. So emotionally, I'm having trouble relating to this. But I would like to take this moment to say that, Dave, we heard you, my man. Because of you, we are better people. We are better truckers. And your many stories, your time, and your passion for the road will live long past your existence on this planet. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Catherine, who may or may not be watching this, but that and her son Nick, for not only participating in the many productions that man put up, but also patiently giving of their father and husband to grace the airwaves and share with us that which he passionately believed so much. And I only hope that someday God will help them and anybody else who is close to God, close to Dave, realize the good that has come. And I look for the day when I can answer that all famous call, that greeting and salutation that man left.
Good carrier now, don't jump ship. So be aware, drive safe, and I'll see you on the back haul.
Pardon me a second, gentlemen, while I get myself gathered and prepared. This was something I really wasn't prepared to do, but I'm glad I did. And Dave, I got one message for you, my friend. We will see you on the back call.
On the back hall.
Well, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
I kind of figured there was an extra body in there. I couldn't see it because I had my sunglasses on, but for Dave, I will do it all, and I will do it blind, gladly. I'm going to tell you something, folks. I don't take my hat off for anybody. John will tell you that. But that man deserved it. He deserved it. He deserved every bit of it. So I'm going to tell you something, guys. If you're watching this program and you see the phone number on the screen, by all means, take advantage. Give us a call. If that man ever graced your presence, gave you advice that made you think, gave you something to think about, inspired you, propelled you forward, please call us. Let us know. Moreover, if you're afraid of the phone or don't like the camera, go ahead and give us at least a line in the chat.
You can go play.
If you don't have time and don't have a place where you can do something, go to Smart Truckin right now. Show your love and support to the family up there. They certainly use it. John, what do you think? I mean, I never am prepared for something like this. I was emotional giving that just simply because it wasn't that long ago I lost my father. So I cannot even imagine what everybody back home is thinking right now. But let's talk positively and think about anything that you may have learned from Dave, any way that he might have positively touched you.
Well, it's not just me. I'm going to put it out there for pretty much all of trucking YouTube. Maybe they don't realize it, but he was one of the originals trucking YouTubers. Go look at his page. Go look at how long he's been on YouTube. Longer than pretty much everybody I know. So maybe he didn't specifically touch that creator that's a truck driver, but he has a
12
little bit of
years
a
worth
hand
of
in all
videos.
of us.
12
years.
years worth of
Yeah,
videos. I'm
12
looking at
years. I mean, look at Asian Mai. What's he, about 5? You know,
Yeah.
you look at the big channels out there. They haven't been around that long. So the guy's been there a long time and touched a lot of creators and a lot of truck drivers. So
Yes, sir.
definitely, definitely giving one of these out to that guy. So
Definitely. Oh, what about yourself? Living closer to him than probably everybody on this panel. What's your thought? What comes to mind when you think of smart trucking?
The thing that comes to mind, guys, that man forgot more than what I've ever learned, and I've got a few years of driving up on him.
Yeah. You got
And
54. I don't know exactly how many miles he had, but yeah, you're right up there, my
5
friend.
million.
I-
5 million confirmed miles.
Yes.
yeah,
Did I not mention
And I
that in my piece? I don't remember if I did or not.
You didn't.
No.
No.
I got just over 6 million. But like I said, that man forgot more than what I've learned.
Yes.
The physicality that he talks about,
Yeah.
how to do stuff.
Yep.
I could never verbalize that. Not a hope.
Yep. He gave quite a bit of advice, and
So,
I mean, there are so many videos
yeah.
on his channel I have not watched, but all the ones I have, I mean, they're gold. They're absolute gold, because that man's got a view on independent trucking that I don't think stands close to anybody else on the platform. I really don't. So
Well, and
anyway,
as a Canadian, he did what he felt needed doing.
he did indeed.
And like you said, 12 years on YouTube.
Yep.
I still struggle to get StreamYard up. But
Yep.
it's
Across
all
the
good.
bear.
I'm here.
I'm glad he is
I'm sorry,
offered.
what?
We all have our cross to bear. I'm glad he's offered
Yep.
of himself. He gave of his time and his expertise. I think everyone in the industry is a whole lot better. And you know what? I won't hold
Him
anything
and
against
Kath,
you.
him and
I was going to say,
Cassie and Nick,
yeah,
they did.
yes, yeah. Well, all of them together, yeah. I mean, because that definitely was a team
Yep.
effort. I could tell in all the many productions where Catherine and Nick were both in those videos doing much the same stuff, holding the camera, or even just talking right alongside them on all the lives.
You could see Catherine, okay, in the paint of his Peterbilt
Yep, exactly.
on occasions.
Mm-hmm. Some of the latter videos, I can
Okay.
see Nick in the reflection too. Thumper and Bo, what do you think? I mean, you got any history or any memories of David Smart Trucking? Have you ever?
Never heard of him until Wednesday, honestly.
Wow, yeah.
I don't really watch a whole lot of YouTube, and when I do, it's kind of people that I know,
Right.
like Bicycle Garage, Mortsky Repair. I know those guys because we kind of live in, well, Bicycle Garage used to live in the same area as I did, so that's kind of how I know those guys, and we're all kind of the same age. So,
Right.
in North Dakota, it seems like you almost know everybody.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I got his channel saved on my YouTube for me to check out when I'm not driving. The last couple of days I've been, well, I don't know if you kind of see it behind me, but I had to go rescue a truck, so been kind of preoccupied with that.
I hear you. Larry, what about yourself? You got any memories of Dave or anything you feel worth sharing about things you might have learned from him?
Just watching his videos, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, he was amazing watching him.
Yeah.
But there is a saying: Legends never die. They only downshift.
There you go. I like that. I like that indeed. Yeah. Well,
Actually, I'd say he upshifted personally, but that just may
Right.
be my wording.
I was gonna say he was good at the whole shifting. He was good at the whole shifting thing. So that's a good way to put that. I like that.
I don't want to change the conversation because this is a good conversation, but I had to jump out for a minute. I have to apologize. I'm probably going to jump out again. There's some really weird stuff going on right in front of me. And so I'm going to go backstage for a little while, guys, but I'll explain when I come back. There's
Before
some
you
really
go,
weird stuff going on.
before you go, I got a question for you. You
What's
said you're a Mac guy, right?
100%.
How does it feel driving a Volvo? Mac,
I
Volvo owns Mac.
I know. I prefer Mac, but no, I've driven Volvos. It's hard to explain. A Mac, the difference between a Mac and any other truck I've ever been in is like driving, I don't know, like a Hummer compared to a, I don't know, Volkswagen. It's weird. It just holds the road. It feels solid. It feels like
I would, yeah, I was gonna say driving a Mac versus like a Peterbilt or something. Cause I've driven a Mac Anthem before, and they ride a lot nicer than a Peterbilt. I will admit that. It's like a
or a
Model
Cadillac
T
over
versus
a
a
pickup
Ferrari.
truck, I guess.
Model A versus a Ferrari. Just total night and day difference.
I don't know why, but definitely Big Mac fan. So,
want to take a moment to recognize some of the people in the audience. The Show Kid, a new face in town,
I'll be
with the
back.
Peterbilt emblem, liking it. The Show Kid says hi, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today, Alex M. Happy Saturday, glad you could make it. Landon Farino, I vote that guy from president of FMCSA. If he was only around, I wish he could. I'll tell you what. Jamie O, bless you with the prayers. I think that's what that emoji is. Eddie Sika, good work, guys. Thank you. And that was you responding. All right. Well, guys, if you're new to the audience, if you would take a moment, go down below, hit the like button. Certainly take a moment and definitely when you leave this broadcast, go over to Smart Truckin and do the same for them.
Grumpy's here.
I was trying to see whether or not you were prepared to be able to talk, but it looks like I'm a little behind the times. I was going through the wrong comment section. Grumpy, what have you got to share about David Smart? Bite me, okay? What have you got to share about David Smart Truckin before I move on to the next segment?
You know, I left a good comment for that family on there, and I will say this much. That man did a lot of inspiration after I started watching his videos, and I followed him as much as I possibly could, and I shared a lot of his stuff to the Grumpy Old Truckers group.
Right.
So, you know, I felt that he is a great inspiration, and he will always, always live on with everybody that kept an eye on his videos.
So that the family, and not only the family but the audience knows. Tell us a little bit about your Facebook group that people may want to know more about it.
Well, you know, I started that group up some time ago. I, you know, decided to go with a new name back in around April of last year. And when I changed the name, I started seeing more people join us. And when I started seeing more people join us, I looked to have people to help me moderate and take care of it as well. And now we are currently at 146,000 plus members and still growing. It is a very family orientated type group, and that's the way I'd like to keep it as much as possible. We discuss different topics in trucking as well as large equipment and trains. I've trained for many. Yes.
Yep. So that being said, I think it's only appropriate that when Smart Truckin puts out good videos, and they are always good videos.
Yes, they are.
We'll be happy to share them with that group. I'll be happy to share anything that forwards the message that Dave stood for. And I only hope that, as I said in my opening thoughts, that as time goes on, everybody in the family comes to realize that and comes to feel that God has a plan. It may not make sense right now, but He's got a plan. So
I haven't heard from Pate Trucking. Does he even know who Smart Trucking is?
I figured if he had a memory, he'd offer one. But you're more than welcome to opine on it, Pate.
Nobody asked me.
haven't.
It's sad. It's sad that somebody passed away. I was not like I did not watch him on YouTube for my own reasons, but it's sad that somebody passed away. And in YouTube trucking, we definitely lost somebody.
Yes.
It was somebody I didn't watch though. But yeah, it's sad anytime you lose somebody.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to ignore anybody. Thank you for pointing that out, though, John. I'm just trying to keep a schedule, and I'm trying to keep everybody, instead of falling into depression because we've lost somebody. I wanted to get onto something that moves everybody. The quality news they tuned in for. Anyway, what were you gonna say, John?
Oh, I was just gonna say I just witnessed some really weird, very suspect things. 2 trucks backed up trailer to trailer in the middle of the drive-through of the truck stop, not in a parking spot. Opened their doors, backed them together. While they're there, an Ozark truck comes flying in and hits one of the trucks. So I'm not sure what the other 2 guys were doing, but one of their trucks got hit.
Are you parked where you told me you were going to park this afternoon?
Hang on. So then the Ozark truck finally backs out and leaves without any cops being called, which makes me think the other 2 guys are up to something kind of fishy. And now one of them backed into a spot, and the other guy closed his doors and took off like like his tail was on fire. And the Ozark truck, I think he parked, but I don't know where he parked. But yeah, really weird, fishy stuff going on here.
Right? Yeah.
And that's
while we're talking about weird and fishy, let me just say, and I don't have any graphical information to support this, other than to say there have been news reports floating around like crazy about a suspected gang or possibly group of terrorists that are taking out semi-truck tires by the massive numbers. Now, if I get some graphical information or more definite information, I will set everyone wise as to what to look for. But these things have occurred in both Tennessee and Texas, and they are spreading from what I hear. So while you're on the road, guys, be on the lookout for anything suspicious and definitely report it if it doesn't look right. Because like what's going on with John, there may be something innocent, but you don't know until it happens to you. Well, tonight we got a good one for you guys. We're going to be talking about insurance. You know, it's that dastardly little thing you need in order to run your truck. It's got everybody around here from the coast to coast raising their eyebrows and wondering what in the heck is going to happen. There's a bill on the table right now, and this one could raise the minimum liability limits for motor carriers by in excess of 566%. That's right. From up to $750,000 to what they want is now $5 million. Let me tell you, this isn't just some bureaucratic mumbo jumbo. This is something that could actually wipe out the lifeblood of the everyday trucker. Now, the people pushing this bill, like Republican Garcia and his new pal, Republican Kevin Mullen, say it's all about protecting families. Giving fair compensation to truck crash victims, right? Sounds noble. Well, let me ask you, who's really paying the price here? It's not the big fleets. It's the small guys like you and me. The independent owner operators, the backbone of this trucking industry. Now, the OIDA has chimed in and they've said, they've come out swinging. They've said that they're warning that this kind of massive increase in insurance could send small companies straight into bankruptcy. They're talking about truckers cutting corners. They think that by doing this increase, they'd be more apt or tempted to skip maintenance intervals, cut costs, cut corners, do things that are dangerous. And they say it's a recipe for disaster. So it's really about safety, or are we looking at another political handout for trial attorneys? Minimum liability right now for liability for trucks is $750,000. It's a number that's already tough enough for many independent truckers to meet. We're talking about small family-owned operations. 98% of trucking companies have fewer than 10 trucks. These aren't giant corporations. These are people like you and me. If they got 10 trucks or less, they're men and women who keep America moving and are already facing high enough problems with expenses, fuel, and everything else. Now add this insurance premium thing. HR 6884 wants to jack the minimum limit to $5 million. A recent study showed the current minimum already covers over 99% of most cases. So what's the real motive here? Opponents are saying it's nothing but a gift to trial attorneys, lining their pockets and making things difficult on us. If independent truckers are forced to pay outrageous premiums just to stay legal, where's that money going to come from? Could they, in fact, cut back on maintenance? Could they put other things at jeopardy? Make our highways more dangerous? Let me know in the comments what you think of the possibilities. A, of paying higher insurance, like it's already not high enough. And B, what would your options be? Would you actually cut back on your maintenance? Would you actually do something as dastardly and dangerous as that? Let us know in the comments below or call our studio line at 860-785-3547. Let us know your thoughts. We are here reporting so that you are smarter and better to run your trucking company the right way. I don't know, Poet, what do you think? You think jacking insurance up is going to make a difference? Do you fear like OIDA that it'll make things more dangerous? What are your thoughts?
Oh, sorry, you're asking me. Duh.
Yeah, you're in the hot seat, my friend. Yes.
Yeah, okay. About the money. And to me, it's drivers or owner operators and companies are gonna cut back on maintenance because it's all about the money and higher insurance rates. It's not just a freebie for lawyers. It's a money grab.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. A money.
Yep. It is.
Yep.
It is.
Truckers.
Dorothy McLean, welcome to the show. Glad you're learning something. If it's even little tidbits between segments, I'm glad you're learning something nonetheless. Thumper, you pay
deep pockets, as everybody knows, right?
I know, right? So that's where my little thing about gifted trial attorneys came from. Thumper, you pay for insurance to keep your trucks running. What are your thoughts about 566% increase? My word, that's incredible.
Oh, I might as well shut my doors.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if they're forcing us, if I got to take money out of my maintenance fund to pay for my insurance, and I can't put a set of drives, or let alone I got a truck broke down back here, I can't fix that truck. Well, that truck ain't making me revenue. I can't put drive tires on another truck, and I still send him out to do loads, and he gets an out of service, and I get a ticket for that, and it goes on my DOT scores and everything. It's a snowball effect.
Well, and then let me ask you, would you in fact cut back on maintenance in order to afford insurance, or would you take more drastic measures?
I honestly, I'd take more drastic measures, but I'm not going to cut the maintenance down on my trucks to affect my DOT score, because your DOT score affects a lot more than just insurance.
Oh yeah,
it affects how many times.
It starts with the insurance, because the moment your DOT score starts to go in the toilet, your insurance is the first thing that goes up.
Yep, and then you get pulled into scales more because they run your DOT number before you even. That's what all those cameras are for.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, I mean, it's not just insurance; it's a snowball effect. Well, like I said, if it goes up that high, I might as well just shut my doors and go get a 9-to-5 job. And I don't want to do that. I love what I do.
Yeah, John, what do you think? Insurance is really the biggest pain in the butt with most truckers, and you live in the life of both an owner-operator and a company driver. You've got to have an opinion. What do you think?
Well, my owner-operator days were a little while back, but you know, even as a company guy, it's going to affect people because think about it. The companies are paying the insurance, you know, and as an owner-operator, your carrier's paying insurance and so are you. So, yeah, it's going to affect you across the board. I don't care what part of trucking you're in. And 100% I agree with him. It's all about money. It always is about money.
And then what do you think what do you think that the likelihood is that those that pay drivers like you and me by the cent by the mile would be tempted to cut back on that and maybe decrease our cent per mile rate to be able to offset that higher insurance? Do you think that's a possibility?
Increase? You mean increase our cent per mile rate?
No.
Oh, you mean the company will decrease it. I get it.
I'm going to pay you less.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, by that theory, does that mean the owner operators are getting paid more to help compensate for the higher insurance?
Well, as we pointed out in other shows, everybody's got choices. If you don't like being under somebody else's thumb, buy your own truck and do it yourself. So,
yeah, but then you're paying the higher insurance and you're forced to choose between maintenance and, you know, other people's lot. Basically, maintenance is not just about DOT or your score, a lot of other things like he was talking about. And I'm sure Thumper would agree with me, and so would Pate. It's about people's lives. Okay, if you're not doing your maintenance, you're jeopardizing yours and everybody's life around you because one faulty tire, one faulty thing can kill people.
Exactly. Well, my question to everyone is, and Fate, jump in on this. I mean, if you feel froggy, I mean, what does everybody? And I mean, I'm mainly lobbing this question mainly at the lawmakers like Garcia and Mullen, who are even entertaining this idea. What honestly is going through the minds of people that put this on? Do they really think that a 566% increase justifies their thought of the increase in what people would get on a payout? Well, when honestly, it's already been publicly disclosed, 99% of most cases are covered with current premiums. I mean, Fate, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I do. We're speculating. No, it's not going to pass. I could see maybe some state raising insurance like New Jersey has, California.
They have, yeah.
I
think
could
5
see,
states have already done it. I think.
I could see certain states raising insurance requirements, not to $5 million though.
That's overkill. Because I think Jersey went to 1.5 million, and even that was a hit.
And you're not getting political, okay? But
no,
this is stuff that we should remember come November. You just mentioned something on two of those peoples that are promoting this. They're supposed to be for small businesses. Like
you would think. Most Republicans are.
Their party talks about that. Like Thumper said, and I agree 100% with what Thumper said. If you can't afford the insurance, well, then you're just shutting your doors. You know, you're
That's
not
really the only choice you got. Yeah.
No rational person is gonna forego like maintenance on a truck, because that maintenance is way more than just, and in all honesty, the maintenance isn't going to pay a $5,000 insurance premium. I mean, an
No.
oil change and tire,
No.
you know, you're looking at,
Yeah. The only option is a fluctuation in rates, really. If they think that this kind of justification in raising insurance is really the way to help the industry, why don't they do something to raise rates? Now, I know that's arbitrary and I know that's, argumentative, but I'm playing devil's advocate here, because as it is with the rates hitting the toilet and fluctuating, some going up, some going down, it's really hit and miss here lately. Any talk about increase, any talk about anything to do with making life rough, and you've got people hitting the doors. I mean, literally, leaving the industry just on speculation alone. Now, I don't mean to add fuel to the fire, but the whole reason I bring this up and discuss this in the bulletin tonight, the way I do, is because, like you said, Faith, I want people that watch this show, that see what we're talking about, to be mindful of this when they go to the polls, when they go and vote their local governors in, when they vote their local chairman in, when they do their presidential elections, or whatever polling booth you go to. Remember this stuff, man, because this will make or break not only trucking, but everybody's economy hinges on the decisions these people make.
Well, I know that Thumper has something to say, but I want to point out down below, Midlife said, on the other hand, does it cover larger insurance policies? Yeah, for nuclear verdicts, which is funny because we were just about that the other day.
Yeah.
Now, so what we're saying is those nuclear verdicts could also do this, which in the end, done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
now, I know Thumper had something he wanted to say too, but that comment just kind of opened my eyes a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So this is more of a question for you, boss man.
Go ahead.
Because this is going back to what you just asked, driving with John. Now say you work for me, okay?
Okay.
And I had come up to you and I say, hey, I got to cut your pay so I can cover my insurance. What are you gonna do? You would pack your stuff up and leave because you can't feed your family.
Well, no, it depends on the kind of decrease, but to immediately answer your question, yeah, I'm not going to work for somebody who doesn't respect me enough to pay me what I'm worth.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be in business, you've got to calculate what your expenses are. Now, if I'm working for you, it's your job to calculate in your mind what could happen, not mine.
You guys were talking about, the pay decrease per mile. So I was just kind of making a point there, like if like say Faith has employees and I got employees, these bigger companies start doing that. Well, people are going to start quitting, and that's going to automatically shut your doors right there too.
Right.
And I'm gonna agree with Faith on this. It ain't gonna pass. There's just so many factors in this. It's just not gonna pass.
Good possibility, but I feel like the more people know about this, and the more friction goes their way, the more we can guarantee it don't. Midlife makes a good point, though. He says raising premiums causes more carriers to leave the industry, and will cause capacity to go down, which will increase freight rates. That's a pipe dream when you think about it. It would be good if it happened, but I don't think insurance rates are going to do that. I think other issues already are doing it as we speak.
Well, look at COVID.
The question is, who would survive all of that to get to that point?
Right.
All the people cutting corners they shouldn't be cutting to get there.
Yeah.
You're cutting all the good people.
Right. I mean, when COVID was around, you had all these hot shotters come in and doing all this work because they're like, oh, hey, we can work. It's easy money. Well, they don't get insurance. Then it starts affecting us, the other hot shotters that do have insurance, but not just them. It actually affects us big truck drivers too, because, well, we got to carry their mess ups.
Yeah. Midlife brings up a good point. What if the employer
paid for?
Yeah. Midlife brings up a good point. What if the employer doesn't tell you there's a decrease? What if they just reduce your miles? That's the other thing that could happen, to your point there, Thumper. And that could happen without any warning.
It could, but you're as an employee, because I've been in both situations, you're going to sit there and start screaming at your boss that, hey, I need to start feeding my family. I need more miles. I mean, it's eventually it doesn't matter which way you take it or how you take it. It's going to affect them. And if it's a snowball effect. You're a bad person, 10 people find out. You're a good person, only one person finds out.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Jasper Garcia, how you doing, my friend? I'm glad you joined the show. And my name is I would like to sew hotshot. Okay, is that the fellow you were talking about?
He was like to do hotshot.
Oh, okay. Like to do hot. Okay.
Hotshot's not a bad thing. I started out in hotshot.
Did you?
It really it's really not a bad thing.
Be a real trucker.
Say again, Larry. Say again, Larry.
Just get your Class A and become a real trucker.
That's a good one.
Well,
like that one.
Being a hot shotter requires a Class A, but you don't have to have air brake endorsement.
Well, it depends on the weight you are.
No,
if you're 26,000 pounds and under, you do not need a Class A.
You do not need a Class A license.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're 26,001 pound, then you need a Class A.
You should require to run you should be required to have a permit to run your generator right next to my sleeper.
That's funny. Well, guys, if you think insurance rates are a big topic, wait until you get a load of this coming up. All right, here's one for you guys. You ever hear about these lease purchase programs and wonder if it's your ticket to truck ownership? Well, before you dive in, you need to know something. These deals might sound sweet, and in reality, they're out there I'd say thousands. They're out there all over the place. And you got to be careful because they can be nothing but a trap. A lot of drivers get pulled in with big promises, but most of them end up sinking fast under the weight of bad terms, hidden fees, and one-sided contracts. Well, we're going to lay out some things here for you guys so that you get the better end of the deal. You know some things to look for. All right? And some of them are already being called out for being downright predatory. And there's consideration out to outlaw leasing altogether. So if you're on the road, you're running your own rig, you probably got a little to worry about. But if you're thinking about getting into trucking and owning your own truck, you really want to do your homework and your research. Here's the truth. Here's what you need to know. These so-called leasing programs, there's a lot at stake. If you're not careful, the dream of truck ownership can turn into a financial nightmare. First of all, lease purchase programs often lure drivers in with the promise of ownership. But the contract that you sign, they're almost always geared to favor the carrier. Hidden costs, strict terms, limited control over how you run your business may leave many drivers barely scraping by, let alone paying off the truck. There's a reason these programs have been labeled predatory. Most drivers who enter them don't end up owning their truck. They instead walk away with nothing but debt. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has something called the Truck Leasing Task Force, and they've actively started investigating a lot of these programs. They're looking at whether or not they're equitable or they're exploitative. Lawmakers and regulators are hearing from truckers as we speak and are scheduling hearings, if I remember the dates right, October 30th and November 20th. And they're learning from truckers firsthand about their failures with these lease programs. And let me tell you, the overwhelming consensus is the deals are designed to fail the driver. So if you're considering a lease purchase program, hold on, guys, you need to know about regulations that might be coming down the pike that could ban or heavily restrict these agreements. Lawmakers are seeing that the risks far outweigh the benefits for most drivers. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is involved, analyzing contracts to see if any of these programs truly offer a fair shot. And so far, they haven't seen much good come of it. There's a possibility we could see new rules that set up protections or even just downright banning of the practice. So if you're out there looking at this and thinking about trucking, I say you've got two options. My panelists will probably come up and give you more, but the two that come to mind with me are go to a bank and get a financial document that makes sense, that you can afford, that you're properly qualified for, or just pay cash. Going the lease route is risky and very dangerous. And for any trucker thinking about it, you need to arm yourself with knowledge. Do the research, read the fine print, talk to other drivers before you actually sign on a dotted line and get the facts. Don't put yourself in a place where you're forced to walk away. These programs are being scrutinized for a reason. The more you know and the better prepared you are, the more you'll avoid these traps and navigate them without getting yourself burned or buried. Remember, truck ownership shouldn't come with a chain. You want freedom, you want a business, and you want to do it right. You don't want debt slavery. So if the contract sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So guys, phone in, let us know your thoughts. 860-785-3547. We want to hear from you. It's your time to shine. Be part of the solution and tell us your thoughts about lease programs. Larry, I understand you're in the middle of one as we speak. And you, my friend, probably have a lot of lessons and a lot of advice that you can give people. So I will let you have it. What do you recommend and tell people that are considering not just your company, but any lease programs at all?
Read your contract carefully.
Yeah.
If you don't understand it, have a lawyer read it.
That probably by itself is the best advice.
All contracts are written in lawyer terms.
Yep. Yep. How confident are you that by the time you're done with the lease contract you're currently in, that you'll actually have a truck? Or do you have any worries?
I won't.
You won't have a truck?
After 3 years, I traded.
Oh, so it's a one of those revolving deals? So if you wanted to leave the company you're with, or that, yeah. So if you wanted to leave the company you're with and take the truck with you, you couldn't do it?
No.
See, now that...
Or if you did we have two options. We have a 3-year and a 7-year.
Right.
So if you do a 7-year, yes, you can pay the truck off in 7 years, but you can't stay with your current company. You take it somewhere else.
Okay.
So there goes where you got to take the truck at after 7 years. It's got almost 1 million miles on it.
Yep. Yep.
Not many places.
You have a really expensive
BossMan.
Yep. Go ahead, John.
I'm sorry to interrupt, guys. I have a personal situation that just arose. Let me add one thing to this whole conversation, and then I got to bail. I do apologize. But two things. First thing, like he said, lawyer. If you don't understand it and you're not capable of reading it and understanding it, you probably shouldn't sign it. You should probably have a lawyer look at it. The other thing is what Midlife said down below. Not every truck driver is made out to be a business owner, and not every business owner is made out to be a truck driver. It takes a special person to be both. On this board, we're lucky enough to have a couple of them. You have Thumper, you have Bait Trucking, and I'm an aspiring one. Someday I'll be back there too. But that have to know right up front, guys, that takes a special person to be able to operate a business and be a truck driver.
I think they, at one time on one of my live shows, made the bold statement and said it very eloquently. If that was sounding, I don't know if I said that right, but he said it very well. And what he said stuck with me. Some people just aren't ready to be business owners. You can be a truck driver all day long,
Right.
but you may suck at running a business. In which case, don't
That's right.
buy a truck.
Yep.
Now, I'm
Yep.
probably
That's right.
seriously parsing and ruining what it is you said, Fate, but I think I about hit it on a nutshell, did I not?
Yeah, let me put this out there too.
You did.
You're talking about lease purchases, and I'm not hating on lease purchases, but here's the problem. You are signing a contract that you are putting another business in control of your business. That's not real business. Like,
No,
and
it's
I am not trying to be mean to people. That is not real business. There's so many leases out there that dictate how much you can make. That's not being a business. A business is you're not limited on what your business can bring in. You know what I mean? And you don't, like, buying a truck the way I did, you're not penalized if you can afford to pay that truck off before the lease is up or the loan is up. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
I get why there's lease purchases. I understand why there is. And the reality is I don't think they're going anywhere. Why? Supply and demand. Everybody looks at truck driving. It's a very easy career to get into. We all know on this panel that it's not an easy career, but we have a low bar to become a truck driver. Now we're saying even more, we're setting the bar even lower to be a business owner. There is such a difference. Such a difference.
There is. Let me ask you guys on the
I
panel.
agree with you, Pete. With
go ahead,
that,
Larry.
you shouldn't just come into this industry and just think, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy a truck or lease a truck." Stay in the industry for a bit. Learn the industry a little bit.
Yep.
Don't just jump right into it.
I did for 5 years and I lost my butt.
Did you really?
Well, I'd like to say something.
Go ahead, Grumpy.
You know, I've tried with 2 different companies with that lease purchase program. And the reason I took and tried it is because it had what they call the walk away lease, meaning that you think you can't do it, you don't want to do it, whatever the cause is, you bring the equipment back in the way you received it and just go, you owe nothing. And I look at it as this: you could probably make it. It'd be going by very tough, but you could probably make it if you're willing to be dedicated 100% to it, never go home, and you're out there busting butt, keeping the wheels turning. But someone like myself that, I have a family life and things, it wasn't going to work. So I would recommend, if you're going to try that program like that, definitely be dedicated to it and not run to go home or anything for a while, because otherwise you'll never make it.
That's some very wise words. Yeah. I mean, what do you think?
Well,
I mean,
and to add on to Grumpy's thing, sorry.
No, go ahead, Larry. Go ahead. You have the expertise.
To add on what Grumpy was saying, there's leases out there that do benefit if you can go home once or twice, once every 2 weeks or so. But me personally, I stay out 3-4 months at a time, sometimes even longer. So you've got to have that support from home as well. So if you don't have that support at home, you're not going to make it.
Right.
You pretty much hit the thumb with the hammer. I mean, hit the nail on the head. You know what Dale's saying. But if you don't have good support, understanding that you got to be out there for a long period of time, yes, it doesn't work out. Or if you're a driver that, doesn't want to be out for all that time and do 34s out on the road, that's another thing. But if you're like yourself, Larry, you're dedicated. You just most of your family is taken care of, grown, or whatever. Therefore, you're able to stay out for long periods of time with no problem.
Right.
Myself, I wasn't able to do that, so that's why I had to leave it alone. And I just went to being a company driver and enjoying that. Yeah, I have my ups and downs with it, but it makes a good enough paycheck to take care of my family life. That's what matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Good to know.
That's right.
It's not an easy job. It's not easy being a lease.
No, it is not.
No. You know what? It's not easy being a trucker. But
Right,
for
yeah,
those, I think this is a fair question for everybody on the panel, so I'm going to ask it. For those considering that may be in my position, I'm a company driver. Let's say I want to set a goal of, being an owner of a truck in I'll put an arbitrary number out, 3 years. All right. Coincidentally, it coincides with a lot of popular lease programs, but I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying if I wanted that kind of goal and I wanted that kind of thought process to go on, what would you guys say would be one of the things that would stand in my way to doing it and your best advice to avoid it? Larry, I'll ask you first because you're in the middle of it, so you can look back and kind of analyze yourself. What do you think would be the answer to that question?
Be more prepared for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't just rely on your maintenance if you have a breakdown. Actually have more money built up in case of an emergency.
Yeah.
A lot of people only live off their maintenance account. Well, if you have an engine go bad, you're out of truck.
Right, exactly. What about you, Thumper? What do you think? What would be some good advice to somebody who's setting a goal like that wants to own a truck in, say, the next 3 years? And what would be some things to avoid to be able to attain that goal?
Well, to retain that goal to own a truck, I guess best advice I would say is find out how much your down deposit is, and then save 3 times as much as that for your down deposit, and then your operating costs. Try to have at least, I guess in my case, when I first started up, I tried to make sure I had $50,000 to $60,000 in my account for a mechanical breakdown. If I got below that point, my butthole is puckering up. It's like, well, 3406E cat, that's $60,000 to $70,000 to rebuild.
Right.
They're not cheap. Trucks are not cheap. I mean, they're bigger, so the price of everything goes up. And I guess my whole take on the lease to purchase is avoid it.
Yeah.
You just go out, buy the truck outright, or I know some of the dealerships around my area, you could actually rent a truck. So you could rent a truck, pay for the insurance and all that stuff, and still be able to save some money so you can buy your own truck. And a lot of time at the end of that rental agreement, you have the option to buy that truck at a discounted price.
Right. My understanding, this is just answering Dorothy McLean's comment, definitely have to have an understanding spouse when the guy's out for long periods of time. My hat goes off, figuratively speaking, to all the spouses and everyone that does support us in the background, whether we buy, whether we drive, whether it's part-time, full-time. This job we do is not easy. And for the fact that you mentioned that, Dorothy, I thank you. That is, of course, something I highly encourage. If you're going to get into trucking, make sure you have a good relationship, because this will strain it big time.
Yep.
Especially if the spouse does not understand. Yeah.
3 months since I've been home.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm going on that almost. So, my wife is a darling and an angel when it comes to understanding what I do.
Face
Go
got
ahead,
a
Pete.
question.
So I pulled over to answer that question that you asked earlier.
I was hoping you would, my friend. Go ahead.
I parked on a ramp, which I don't like doing.
Don't,
Um,
won't tell anybody.
the best advice
The whole world
that
just heard him.
that I can give somebody. So what I'm gonna say right now, like I'm not attacking anybody. I'm not trying to make somebody feel bad, right? A lot of lease purchases, the reason they're so attractive is it costs you either nothing or a very small amount to get into it. And you're talking about $100,000 piece of equipment with no money down.
Right.
When I hear that, that makes me think people that don't have good credit, that aren't disciplined with money because they don't have money to put down on a piece of equipment that they could go get from an actual lender. The biggest piece of advice I could give you is learn to become disciplined with money, because we all know this industry. There's a lot that comes in and there's a lot that comes out. There's a very fine amount that gets put into our wallets and in our pockets. And the disciplined people live like 1%ers. And I'm being honest with you. I'm not saying I'm rich or anything like that, but my life is not hard because I'm disciplined. Bottom line, if you are not a disciplined human being in your personal life, you will fail as a business owner and as a lease purchase person.
Yep.
Bottom line, I'm going to get back trucking and go incognito.
Hey, I appreciate you
Feel
taking the
it.
time to give us the education we can all use. I'll tell you what, this entire show and entire panel is valuable. So let me ask you, Grumpy, when it comes down to thinking ahead, if you had some stellar advice to give people younger than you, what would that advice be? Do you have anything that you want to offer the younger generation, Grumpy, that might far exceed that which we've already given everybody else? Now, apparently he's still muted, so I'm guessing he can't say anything. What about you, Larry? I mean, in closing thought, what would be some sound advice that you would give the younger generation looking into trucking, separate and above what everybody said?
Do your homework.
Just as simple as do your homework, huh? You're gonna have more to offer than that. I mean, come on now.
I think he froze.
Okay. Last bit goes to you then.
I mean,
Thumper.
that's a good picture of him though.
Yeah, you're right. There you go.
All right. Sorry? What was the question?
What would be some good advice you could
Not long ago.
that you could consider giving the younger generation that's looking to get into it?
Work your butt off. I mean, that's simple as it is. The harder you work, the better the rewards. I didn't get
Not all.
to where I'm at with my company with, just by pure luck. I worked my butt off for it, and I don't do it. I said it last video. I don't do it just for me or my family. We do it for everybody else out there.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for you. Stop it. What we doing today? Finding a trustable resource does not have to be hard. It doesn't have to be something worth giving up on. Subscribe today to Truckin City News and look for all of our exciting opinion-based videos. We're here Wednesdays and Saturdays, telling you what it's all about, giving you the perspective you need to hear. Don't forget to like us. Check us out Wednesdays at 7, Saturdays at 7. That's our new times now. And remember, guys, it's the trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. Keep it real and keep it rolling.